You don't get greatness when the cameras are on. You don't become a legend when the stage is lit. You earn all of it when it's just you and the grind. When the world is asleep, when there's no crowd, no recognition, no spotlight, only darkness and effort. That's where champions are made. That's where the transformation happens. You have to understand something. The work you do in the dark is the reason people will one day clap for you in the light. But if you're not willing to hustle when no one's watching, don't expect to shine when everyone's looking. See, too many people want the end result without the unseen effort. They want the applause, the success, the fame, the lifestyle, but they're not willing to bleed for it in silence. They don't want to sweat when it's cold, grind when it's uncomfortable, and sacrifice when it's lonely. But that's exactly what the dark demands of you. The dark is not your enemy, it's your training ground. It's where you build the kind of muscle the world can't see, but it will eventually respect. The dark teaches you to be disciplined, consistent, and focused. It's in the dark where you realize what you're really made of. Every successful person you admire spent years hustling in the dark. Before the name, before the brand, before the awards, there was just raw effort and insane commitment behind closed doors. Nobody saw Kobe Bryant in the gym at 4 a.m., putting up thousands of shots before practice. Nobody saw the night Steve Jobs spent working in a garage, obsessed with something the world didn't understand yet. You don't see the prep, the planning, the sleepless nights behind every major breakthrough. But that's where the magic happens. The dark is sacred because that's where real warriors are forged. You've got to fall in love with the dark. You've got to crave it because that's where you're building your edge. That's where you're getting one step ahead of everyone sleeping in, skipping reps and taking shortcuts. While they rest, you rise. While they relax, you rehearse. While they doubt, you decide. That's how you win. You don't win when the lights are on. You win long before that moment even arrives. And when that moment finally comes, it just reveals all the hours of unrecognized work you've been doing. The light is just confirmation of the darkness you've already conquered. You've got to be willing to put in the work that nobody claps for, that nobody notices, that nobody celebrates. And you've got to do it every single day like your future depends on it, because it does. This isn't about motivation. This is about habits, consistency, and identity. Are you the type of person who works only when it feels good? Or are you the type who works no matter what? Are you the kind of person who needs a pat on the back to keep going? Or are you the kind who wakes up with purpose, even when no one's watching? In the dark, there are no distractions. There's just clarity and commitment. It's just you versus your excuses. You versus your excuses. You versus your limit. You versus your comfort zone. And the truth is, most people never make it out of the dark because they're not willing to suffer for their dream. But if you want to be great, if you want to change your family tree, if you want to leave a legacy, then you've got to embrace the lonely nights, the long hours, and the thankless grind. Every rep you do when no one's watching, every late night you push through, every early morning you conquer, it all stacks up, it all compounds. And one day it shows. One day the world will see what you've been quietly working on. But that day only comes if you keep going, if you stay disciplined, if you hustle even when your energy is low, when your motivation fades, when your environment doesn't support you. You've got to hustle in the dark like your moment is guaranteed, because it is, but only if you earn it. The dark doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're broke, if you're scared. The dark only responds to work, pure, focused, consistent work. And if you show up day after day with relentless intensity, the dark will reward you. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but the results will come. The light will come. The moment will come when the world finally sees what you've been building, but only if you stay committed in the shadow. So whatever it is you're dreaming about, stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for the world to recognize you. Start showing up in the dark. Build your dream when no one cares. Push forward when no one believes. Because if you can learn to hustle in the dark, you'll never need the light to keep going. Too many people are out here waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for approval, waiting for the applause, the likes, the followers, the support. But what they don't realize is that greatness doesn't wait on validation. The ones who make it to the top, who shift culture, who create history, they didn't need someone clapping for them. They needed a reason to show up. And they needed a mindset that said, I'm going to do this whether you see me or not. If you're waiting for the world to see your value before you start moving, you've already lost. The world rarely gives you permission to be great. It won't hand you confidence. It won't clap until you already win. That's the trap most fall into. They think success starts when others start noticing them. But success starts when you start noticing your own potential. When you decide that your dream is worth grinding for even when no one says a word. If you only move when the light is on, you're not consistent. If you only grind when people are watching, you're not committed. True hustlers, real warriors, they work in silence. They move in silence. They execute with no applause, no recognition, and no audience. Why? Because they understand one thing. The process is the prize. The hustle is the identity. The journey is what sharpens the weapon. You have to kill the need to be seen. You have to destroy the hunger for validation. And that's how you build power that can't be taken from you. Because if applause is what you need to keep going, the moment it fades, so will your effort. And the truth is, applause always fades. There will be days when nobody claps, when nobody texts back, when nobody shows up. And on those days, you have to be your own motivation. On those days, you have to push yourself like a crowd of thousands is cheering you on. You've got to shift your focus from outcome to effort, from being seen to being solid. If the foundation you're building your dream on is based on people's opinions, it's going to crack the moment you face rejection. But if your foundation is your discipline, your vision, your unshakable reason for doing what you do, then nothing can stop you. Not silence, not setbacks, not failure. Most people want the world to tell them they're ready before they start. They want their friends to cheer them on, their family to understand their vision. But here's the truth. They won't, at least not at first. That's not how the game works. You got to show up before anyone sees you. You've got to keep building when the lights stop coming in. You've got to put your head down and grind so hard that eventually the world has no choice but to look up and ask, where did this person come from? You did come out of nowhere. You came from the dark. You came from struggle. You came from quiet mornings and sleepless nights. You came from rejection and doubt. You came from showing up when no one noticed. From working when nobody cared. And that's what makes you dangerous. Because your work ethic isn't tied to attention. It's tied to purpose. Y'all got to understand, applause is temporary. Hype dies, but work ethic is eternal. Character is permanent, and the grind, that's forever. You got to be the one who doesn't flinch when the support disappears. Be the one who still wakes up at 5 a.m. with no alarm clock. Be the one who still studies, still practices, still trains, still creates, without needing someone to pat you on the back. You become unstoppable when you learn to clap for yourself. When your progress is enough to keep you going. When your own growth becomes the applause. That's the kind of energy that makes you untouchable. Because now you're not chasing attention, you're chasing greatness. You're not moving to impress, you're moving with intention. This game requires solitude. It requires nights when no one understands you. It requires sacrifices nobody claps for. And in those moments, you have to be so locked in, so focused, so determined that you don't even hear the silence. That you're not fazed by the lack of recognition. Because you know exactly where you're going. You've seen it in your head 1,000 times. You've already lived it in your spirit. You don't need proof. You just need the process. The world will clap eventually, yes. They'll notice. They'll talk. But by the time they do, you won't need them to. Because you'll already be built. You'll already be ready. You'll already have put in too many hours in the dark for their approval to mean anything. That's what hustling without applause does. It makes you immune to both praise and hate. It centers you. It strengthens you. So stop waiting. Stop needing. Stop working. Stop building. Stop moving. Be dangerous in the dark. Be consistent in silence. Because when the lights finally do come on, and they will, you won't be surprised. You'll be ready.